Welcome to Did She Really Say That? Our podcast that is flipping the lid on what it means to actually be a female entrepreneur, challenging all the norms and disbeliefs that are out there that are keeping women back from their true potential. Hi, my name is Chef Katrina, and I'm super excited to co-host this episode and bring on our special guest. And I'm joined by my other co-host,
Heidi Muma.
She knows who she is this time. This is always good. And we're excited because we have Angelique joining us, and we met her through a kind of like a networking group, I guess you can say, on the Lineable. And what we love about her is that she talks business credit, which is oftentimes something we don't talk about as women, or we don't even know exists, or how to even build it, right? So we met her and had an amazing conversation, starting to build an incredible friendship. And you said, you know what? She's got a wealth of information in her head, and I know she's going to drop some "Did she really say that?" bombs on you. So, Angelique, I would love for you to introduce yourself to our podcast listeners and let them know what you do.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. I like that comment of I have a wealth of knowledge versus just a bucket of random shit. I think that's hey, I'm really good at useless facts. If you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, phone a friend, like call me. I'll probably know the answer. But my name is Angelique. About me, I take what I do very seriously. I don't take myself very seriously though. I am 10% business, 40% inappropriate jokes, 50% large child. But we're gonna focus on 10%, I guess. But if you know me in real life, exactly. If you know me in real life, that 90% comes through heavy, heavy, heavy. But my background, my formal education's in architecture and real estate development. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I am the youngest of 11, which means that I am a personality chameleon because I have 10 larger than life personalities I had to navigate. It also means I fight dirty because I'm a small human and I had brothers that didn't care and beat me up all the time. But when I'm not doing all that stuff, life has shifted quite a bit. When you're an entrepreneur or an adult, your life's just very topsy-turvy, but especially as an entrepreneur. So I've had my own startup. I led local chapters for national groups. I ran programs for national groups with startups, helping them build their businesses and access to capital, things like that. And then, on a serious note, my mom passed away 2 Aprils ago, and it was very sudden, very unexpected, and it shifted kind of what I wanted to do. And my only goal in life from that point was to be more like her, and I'm pretty much like her a lot, but she's just much more patient than I am. My God, she's so patient.
You get that over time. Don't worry. She's had 11 kids to work through to develop patience. You've had 11.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's true. Meanwhile, I was tormented by said kids, so I went into the spectrum. But she was a pediatric nurse, and so medicine was her thing, business is mine. And so I came across Jay Galt, the company I work for now, and I saw the business credit building. I kind of knew conceptually how it worked, but I'd never seen it done in practice. And I thought, oh, this is where I can apply my business acumen along with my desire to help people and actually make a real difference. So, and that led me to you two. So it was worth it.
Cool. Yeah, it is. And I just love this because if you guys are watching us on video and you guys are seeing this podcast, because I know some of you guys listen to your audio on your favorite podcast platform, which we absolutely love and recommend. You'll see that behind her and behind Angelique is her Jay Galt. And I laughed at it because the first time I saw her pop up behind me, I was like, I know exactly what that is. And the reference, if you guys don't know, is a book called Atlas Shrugged, is where that comes from. And I instantly knew I was talking to the right person because it takes a certain individual, an entrepreneur, to know what Atlas Shrugged is. I've read the book. The movies or TV series doesn't do it quite the justice it deserves, but we'll roll with it on that one. But there's a different type of thinking and mentality for those that use that phrase or know what it is or who is John Galt. And if you ever heard that phrase, it is really a powerful phrase that's used. And it kind of tips into the whole financial world and what you do. So how did you find this particular company? And now you talked about it a little bit, but tell us, how did you find Jay Galt? Like, what brought you into that particular company?
Yeah. The short answer of that is LinkedIn. I was looking around at different things. I was figuring out what I wanted to do. I had some personal business things go sideways that I won't get into that one. But, I really need to refocus my energy. And I was looking at different companies. Like I have friends that work at Adobe and they're like, oh, I can get you a job here. And like, as a consumer, I love Adobe. I love their products. But again, I'm coming from a grief standpoint. And so, you know, do I care about KPIs on PDFs? Absolutely not. I don't care. I'm so sorry. I don't really care. This is all of our problems are self-inflicted, and this is such an idiotic thing to be concerned about. No offense to anyone that works at Adobe and anything like that. But you know, it was I couldn't care about it. And
Yeah.
I saw Jay Galt and I was like, first of all, I'm like, what does this even mean? What is Jay Galt? I don't get it. Like,
Mhm.
you know, I realized it's the same author that wrote Fountainhead, so that I understood. But I had looked at it and I said, you know, I think I know what this means
Mm.
because I went to grad school at Columbia and they taught us business credit rating systems. But I don't know how this works. But if this works the way I think I do, then this would help literally every entrepreneur that I know. Like all
Mm.
my friends, my own company, all my friends whose ideas have died on the vines, they couldn't get funding from VCs or from banks or whatever, and just burn through their entire safety net of savings, 401ks, you know, house refinancing, all the things, credit cards. Um, and yeah, when I found it, I did my interview and whatever. And then I called some of my friends, like I had to humble myself, okay? Because like I consider myself a smart person, okay? Like I said, I don't take myself seriously, but I take what I do very seriously. My brain is one of
Mhm.
the things I take very seriously. So I had to like sit here. I was like, am I like, oh my God, what's happened to you? Like I'm stupid. And so I'm like, why do I know this? Like, did I miss it? And they're like, I don't understand. And then I called my friends very quickly, called my friends in private equity and investment banking. And one of my friends that works at Goldman Sachs and asked them all the same question. I'm like, do you know how this works? And they all basically said the same thing, which was, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I mean, conceptually, yes, I do know what you're talking about. I sat next to you. We talked like we sat in the same class. Of course, I know what it is. But how does this work? I don't know. It's not my job to know. I have people that know this, and that's the
It's
mystery of it. For me, it was like intrigue. Like, does this really work? I'm like, wow,
mm.
this is. We'll get into it, but I was like, wow, this is mind blowing. Like the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. So
Yeah. Well, it probably will piss you off for sure, because that's the thing. Like, that was one, I think, the reasons we reached out to you. It's like, yeah, I know conceptually there's business credit. Everybody talks that you can have it as a business. Nobody like talks about how to actually get it or achieve it. It's like
Mm.
this little hidden secret that's like tucked away in the back corner. And it's like, oh yeah, it exists. Conceptually, we know how it works. And yes, it can replace your personal credit rating to help you fund your business and get a, and I'm like, a roadmap?
It's a
So
temptation out there. It's like this little tease.
yeah,
But
that
it's
was terrible. But no, it was
yep.
definitely, and it is interesting because I've talked with my financial advisor. I've mentioned things like that. Like, oh yeah, I know of it. I just don't know how to like it works or how do you get. And I was like, oh my God, how does everybody know of it, but nobody actually knows how it works? Like, I don't understand this. Dear Lord, help me. So yeah, that's why we reached out to you. We're like, somebody give us some clarity around this because this makes no sense whatsoever. Why it's all talked about, but no substance to it.
Yep. Yep. It's it's funny. I know we gotta stay on topic, but it's so funny because as you're talking about this, I'm like, wow, this sounds like when I was growing up and people were talking about the female orgasm. This thing exists, but nobody knows how it works. I'm like, oh, women do. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's whatever. Like,
Yeah. Oh wait, I have this body I live in, and it's got a vagina and a pussy and boobs and everything. Like, what is this thing? I don't even know what it is. Yeah, same thing.
We have a
yeah.
book recommendation for you.
Yeah, we do have a book recommendation for you. That's really good on this, on that kind of topic, because the thing is, like what you're saying right there, even though it seems off topic, it is on topic for women. Because most women don't even know they have a body that they actually live in and that they control, and that's very powerful.
Very true.
It's
Very
crazy.
true.
Very
Very
crazy. So yeah, and it actually does tie into our desire to find out the how things work.
Mhm.
Right? How does business
Mhm.
work? If we look inside and start figuring out how we work, then we'll start asking the questions about how other things work that have been hidden from us, because now we're more curious around it. And I love this. We can totally take this on a whole nother conversation altogether.
All day, all day. We could do 4
Yeah.
episodes right now.
Yeah, we could have more episodes with you on here. We could really dive into this.
Yeah, you know, I'll just be a multifaceted guest that knows, again, a bucket of random shit sits up here.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us know a bunch of random shit. That's the problem. And the thing is, for me with women, is that we all have something to contribute to each other, and nobody knows that that person, that another woman that we can talk to, is going to unlock a key that's going to set us free in another area of our life or business or wherever. but it really takes another woman to tell another woman something, because that's who we listen to more so than the men. Love you guys. Don't worry, I'm not against you. But I think it's so fascinating, and that's one of the things that we've been talking about. Is like when we women talk to each other around this, we actually communicate in a way that brings the information alive for us.
Yeah,
and that's really why I love talking with you. And I know I met your mentor, but your essence for who I connected with most was definitely more you. Him, I got like he's like the financial,
Here's the do.
Yeah. So let's talk business credit. What actually is it? So we've kind of alluded to it. Yeah, we've done what everybody else has done. We said there's this magical world called business credit.
Yes.
Let's talk some real facts around what is business credit and how do you even get it like started? Like what do you need to know?
Yeah, let's go into Wonderland. Pandora's box, Narnia. The
let's
line
go to
Narnia.
Narnia.
Let's
I want the unicorns. I want the fairies. I want all of that. So tell me more about this magical place.
Yes. So it's funny because I always tell people it's not hard. It's just obtuse and dense and hidden for a reason. So there's 3 types of credit that exist. There's personal credit, which we all know. It's a very stupid scale. I've tried to look up why the scale is like this. It doesn't make any sense. The reason doesn't make sense. But it's 350 to 850.
It's arbitrary.
Right. Then there's business credit, and those that are watching on video can see me do air quotes, business credit. And then there's corporate credit. And to a natural, English speaker, business and corporate are the same word. It's a synonym, right? Not when it comes to credit. So, because when we say business credit, we think we're saying corporate credit. But the reality is that business credit is built on the back of your personal credit. So the easiest way to think about this is that you have a Lexus and you have a Toyota. Most people know the same manufacturer makes these cars. Lexus just goes to the fancy department and gets the Lexus label put on it. That's it. Business credit is just a fancy word for personal debt. And the reason that is because if you've ever registered your business, I don't care if you use LegalZoom, I don't care if you filed it yourself, whatever you file, your nonprofit, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, doesn't matter. When you filed that, you gave them certain information about you. You gave them your name, an address, a contact email, and phone number. But then when you go over to get a credit card, business credit card, or a business loan, you give them those same things, but you give them something else, which is your social security number. And the only reason that we ever do that is for identification and financial tracing. Collection. That's literally it. And so when you think about it, setting up your business, I'm not actually tied to my business because my business has its own 9 numbers, known as an EIN or a tax ID number, depending on how you want to talk about it, whatever. But when I want to get money, suddenly I have to give my numbers too. That doesn't make any sense. And so, and that's because, again, business credit is a ruse. I always tell people there's a ruse and there's a game. So what we try to do is tell people how to play the game. But here's the ruse. So I said I was going to piss some people off, and I know some people are going to listen. I'm gonna say like 5 things. I know at least 2 of them someone's going to listen and be like, mother. So because that's exactly what I did. Yeah. So the first thing to know is that there are 3 business credit bureaus. There's Dun & Bradstreet, there's Experian for business, and there's Equifax for business. These 2 are totally different than the consumer side. TransUnion does not have a business credit division. Don't ask why, I don't know. But these things are completely separate. The consumer sides care about our social, the business sides care about the EIN. That's the first thing to know. When we are born, our social security numbers are auto-loaded. They're given to us. They're auto-loaded into these debt collection systems. And when we turn 18, they know everything that we do. We never told them a bill that we incurred, like a credit card, a loan, whatever. They just knew. I would love to not tell them things, but they will always know. Your business is not the same. Dun & Bradstreet, typically they will catch it when you file your business and they'll give you a DUNS number. If you ever heard that, it's just Dun & Bradstreet, same thing, DUNS. But then with Experian and Equifax, they don't know that. So you actually have to go physically register your business with them. Otherwise, when you're making payments, there's somewhere for it to go. Otherwise, any payments you're making now are just going into the ether. They just don't exist anywhere because it's not attached to any credit rating system that can help you build your profile.
Shit.
Now,
I've been
there
doing
we
this
go.
for 15 years and you're just now telling me?
There's the first shit. Here's the second shit. So that all was good and fine until you find out that 93% of business credit cards, trade lines, corporate accounts, bank loans, including SBA loans from the US government, don't report to these 3 business credit bureaus. And the reason why is very, very simple and very American, is that it costs them money.
Very American.
It costs them.
For the fuck up, sorry.
It's okay.
So the whole purpose of building business credit then becomes null and void because no one's reporting it.
Exactly. And so and it costs them no money to report when we pay them late, coincidentally, but it costs them money to report if we pay them on time. So think if you are a large business, why would I, billion-dollar business, help you, poor business owner, with something you don't even know exists? I just wouldn't. But I'm still going to give you business lines of credit. I'm still going to give you a business loan. I'm going to give you this American Express business card, which, by the way, that silver one that we all know and is very nice looking, does not help you build your business credit. And that is because American Express also has a corporate credit card. And this card actually helps you build your business credit. And this card is very hard to get because this card is on tier 4, which I will get to once Katrina is done saying a few more swear words.
I'm arms crossed over here and just the annoying information that we talk about getting into business, but we don't actually talk business. It's one of the most frustrating things financially.
Yeah.
For I think any business and entrepreneur is we're taught how to start a business. We're taught how to market a business. But even for us, we're beginning to teach cash management of finances, right? Which also ties into how do you build a business credit score like this? How do you then use that knowledge to get the corporate card to then, make your business the viable entity and not just you?
Exactly. We're taught so well how to pitch, but not how to actually run and operate. It's a very interesting process. Yeah. It's I'm gonna get off my soapbox about startups and VCs.
I'm breathing because
I'm just cross myself because we would have a whole other episode about this.
Yeah, we will.
But no. So the next 2 things to know are the scores and the tiers. So again, our score is very cockamamie, 350 to 850. Business credit was developed much later, and it shows because the scores go from 0 to 100. It's called a PAYDEX score. It's just PEADEX for those that are going to go Google this later. It's called a PAYDEX score. An 80 is like a 720, and a 90 is like an 800.
Okay.
Now, across credibility, when lenders look at credibility, this means fundability. There are 4 tiers of business credit. Each tier just shows how more credible you are because you're getting more established accounts from people that have higher thresholds and standards. And it's just tiers 1, 2, 3, 4. Tier 4 is where all the big dogs of business go to play. So Walmart, McDonald's, Amazon, you give me a big business, they're there. On that tier, that's where you can get benefits along the way. You can get revolving accounts that help you build on your EIN. They're not attached to you. Wonderful. But on tier 4, that's where you can get equipment loans. You can get term loans. You can buy buildings. You can get accounts receivable financing, purchase order financing, all on your EIN once you've built this score. And the thing to know about this is that business credit is not tied to your revenue. So I hear a lot of people say, oh, we're pre-revenue, or I don't have a lot of revenue, I can't build credit. Let's pause for a second and think about the 2 things that are similar between business credit and personal credit, which is that it's not based on your income. It's based on your utilization and your payment history. Our credit score that goes from 350 to 850, it's not about how much money we make. The limits on the cards show something like that, but the score itself is purely based on use and payment. And that is true with business credit. So all you're doing is showing that you are more credible. So these are kind of the building blocks of how it works. You want to pitch you up a little bit more?
Yes.
How much more can I go before the steam starts to pop out?
This for me is fascinating, and I know a lot of our listeners probably aren't there yet, but here's what I always tell our community and those that listen is that you've got to hear it once first, and you may not understand what we're talking about, but you'll listen to this podcast again. You'll hear this information come up in whispers in the nooks and crannies. You'll be like, that's what she was talking about, or they were talking about. So for me, I'm always of the belief that you need an introduction to the information. You may not understand what we're saying, but I will tell you this, that is how a lot of like secret cults and secret groups and secret societies get formed because they're talking at a level that you're not understanding what they're actually saying, but they are speaking at a level that makes sense in the financial business construct of the world we live in. So yes, Angelique, I want you to continue having this conversation because it's super important that we hear it. I've heard this for many years. I've heard it in the whispers. I've talked to the multimillionaires. They've hinted at it, but every time I go to implement it, the people that I talked to said, oh, well, that doesn't work that way, or because they don't know themselves. So the default is it doesn't work that way because the education, and that's why I really love having you here, is because you're educated around this. You are actually working in this industry, you're working with companies, you're working with entrepreneurs, so you have a distinct advantage around this conversation that the majority of us don't have access to. So I want you to push it just a little bit further.
All right. Yeah. And that's a good point. I'll just touch on banks really quickly. So a lot of our exec team were heads of business lendings at major banks for years and years and years. They didn't know anything about this because it is not their business model. Banks and the SBA are regulated by the US government. So when someone says it doesn't work that way, it means because they can't work that way. Because if they were the only people that had financial instruments to give out to other people, PayPal wouldn't have a credit card, Amex wouldn't have a credit card. These people, these companies, they write their own rules. They're not regulated by the government. Business credit is highly unregulated. It's very, very different. But what most people understand is banks and the SBA and VC.
Right.
And these are just three very, very, very specific types of lending. It's not the only way, but that's all we actually are taught to understand.
Right.
But so there are things that, as business owners, we're just trying to get through, right? We're just trying to survive, trying to make this bill, trying to figure something out, trying to make this work. And we don't realize how the little things really matter. So when you go to apply for credit, whether it be a business loan, bank loan, SBA loan, whatever, there are things that can trip you up. There are things that are very obvious because from a lender's perspective, let's forget about as a business. We're now the banks. We're the ones giving out money. I need to make sure that this is a legitimate business. I need to make sure this isn't fraudulent, which means I need to find you online. So a lot of companies don't have a website. They have a Facebook page or an Instagram page. I need a professional website. Even if it's just a landing page, I need something. I need a professional email. If you apply for funding from a Gmail or an AOL or whatever, an iCloud, that can get you denied because it is not a professional email. Anybody can set up an email. Anybody could buy a professional email as well. However, it takes a little bit more work, right? So then there's things like addresses. So if your address, these are the top three. So people listening, top three. If your addresses are not the same in all of your accounts, but the main three are IRS, Secretary of State, Dun & Bradstreet. These three things have to be the same because if I'm a lender, if I'm lending to Target, Target has the exact same address everywhere. Target also has hundreds of people to do this for them. But I might see 6 or 7 different addresses popping off. And the reality is I moved, I was busy, it was my home address, and I moved here. I didn't think it was important. It matters because as a lender, different addresses flag for fraud. The types of addresses you use also matter. So your home address, very risky. PO box, UPS mailboxes, also automatic denials. And it's because it's the place of business is a box inside of another business. So the way you get around this is you just choose a co-working space in your area, you just pay for their mail service, and you just use that address. That works fine because lenders know this is a place of business where multiple businesses do work asynchronously. And then there are really, 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 really varied ones. And again, most people don't reinvent the wheel, so they just copy underwriting criteria from another company. And underwriting goes back very, very far. And so some of those rules are very archaic and no one actually reads them. But one of them has to deal with the phone number. And your business phone number has to be registered with Digital 411. It still exists. If you're under the age of 25, you may not know what this is. If you're over the age of 25,
I did not know that still existed.
it still exists. I know that we don't know the last time we used it, but it still exists. If your business phone number is not registered with them, for 99% of corporate and major lenders, automatic denial. And it
Really?
cannot be a cell phone number, and it cannot be a VoIP like a Google Voice or a Zoom number.
Wait a minute, it can't be a cell phone number?
So the way you deal with this is you call Spectrum or Verizon or Frontier or whoever gives you your internet, and you pay that $8 for that landline package they have, and you don't have to buy a phone, but you buy that number, you register that number, you apply to things with that number, but then you just forward that number to the number you actually use. It's why we have 800
some phone calls, because I actually tried. We set up a landline for my elderly in-laws, and it was like $80 to get a landline.
Sheesh.
From Verizon.
Sheesh.
Depends on where you're at too.
Yeah.
It does.
Because mine is like $8 where I live.
Okay.
But but it depends. But that is such a, like, imagine you are perfect on paper. Everything else is looking clean. All your stuff is good.
Wow, that is like a hidden little.
I mean, it's literally, these are the things that trip people up, and you just would never know.
Yeah.
Because in business there are known unknowns and there's unknown unknowns. Everything I just said is how would I even know this?
Yeah.
How would I ever figure this out?
I do have a question. So we use a registered agent for our company, and we use the address there that's given to us. Is that an acceptable form of, because it's a same establishment for all different businesses that are registered in that through that company, through that organization?
Is it the principal and the mailing address?
Yes.
As well? Okay. That should be fine.
Yeah. It's the principal mailing address, and it gets forwarded to us. It's part of the process that we work through. So it is a mail service.
I think it would be the same as like a co-working space. It's like that type of address.
Which is good to know, because I actually did that for my first company. I actually registered it with a co-working space, and I used their address for the principal address for my business, because it's a physical space. It's co-working. There's other businesses that were there, other businesses that were getting mail there. So it made sense for me that that's where I would go.
Yep. But these are just little things that just people don't think about, especially when you think about Secretary of State. You know, most states have you update your statement information every 2 years. So I don't have to tell you until 2 years. So that means that for 2 years while you're applying for stuff, you're getting dinged because you're using different addresses. Like everywhere. There's a company called LexisNexis. And they know everything about your business, from your bank account balances to all the addresses you have, how long you've been in business, like the things you've defaulted on, or literally anything. And when they go look for your credit, this is what's happening. So how all this wraps up together is that I said earlier that business credit's not based on your revenue. So I talked to someone who, like, we have our example in our presentation, but I legitimately talked to someone couple months ago, a gentleman in Florida. He's a construction business, been in business 30 years, and 4 million in revenue, steadily kind of growing it up. His recommended lending limit was $7,000.
What?
Because his business credit profile is not established. Some accounts, again, 93% chance it's not helping, but somewhere he caught that 7%, and it's actually, quote unquote, building his credit, right? On the flip side, we have businesses that make $400,000 that we've worked with, and their business recommended lending limit is over $200,000. It's because it's not about income. It's about utilization and payment history. And the difference is that business credit grows exponentially. It's not like personal credit. We're at a $5,000 card, now it's 7, now it's 10. Right. So, because again, that 4 million and 7,000 is the number for a person. Right. And that's because it is. Because when you go to a bank and you say, I have $4 million business, I need a $300,000 business loan. And what's going to happen is they're going to run your corporate credit. They're going to see that you have nothing there. So this $4 million is now no longer under consideration, because you have not shown me as a company that you are credible. Money be damned. You have not shown me that you are credible. So who do I have left? cool. Heidi, Katrina. Well, how much money do you guys make? What's your debt to income ratio? What's your utilization?
Yeah.
Well, you as people cannot support this debt. So the answer is no. And that's what's really happening. And so because once they know like, oh, you're not credible, which most businesses aren't, that's why most people get denied for SBA loans. Like I think it's like over 80% get denied, and this is what's happening. Because people, unless you're independently wealthy, we run out of debt we can support.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
We just run out of things.
Mhm.
Versus businesses don't. They always need stuff. That's why every entrepreneur will tell you, oh, I had great credit. So I started my company.
True story.
True story. True story.
Yeah.
Dude, I said 53. I was balling. I was like, I've got this. My credit. We don't talk about Bruno no more. We don't talk about him.
We don't talk about Bruno. Definitely
No. So that's what we do intrinsically, is that we help small business owners build their business credit by matching them with a US-based credit analyst that sits with them and basically says, Heidi, Katrina, they're not going to say, okay, you spend, I'll make up numbers. You spend $3,000 a month right now on all your expenses. Well, you want to do this, so you need to go spend $10,000 a month. That's irresponsible.
Right.
What we're going to do is say, what are your goals?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All we're going to do is take the exact same spending that you already do, and we're going to open accounts, aka cards, with these different vendors that help build your credit. That's what we're going to go do. That's all we're going to go do. And it has a direct relationship to your personal credit, because you'll be using your personal cards less, which means your credit is going to go up. So that's really kind of how the lay of the land works. On the backside, we also have 400 lenders and vendors that help build your business credit. And we know their underwriting criteria, meaning the requirements to get approval, and who they report to, because if they're not reporting to a business credit bureau, they cannot be with us. If they stop reporting, which some do, they fall off. And so that is really how we work. I know I said a whole bunch, so I'm gonna let you jump in.
Yeah, no, what I love about this is that, you've dropped a lot of really good like truth bombs on us for real in terms of building in a business. And there's only so much you can do as a female entrepreneur in business, right? So having resources like you and saying, okay, I'm going to work with you. You're going to help me establish the business credit because I have a viable business that I want to build. I want to take it to the next level. I want it off my personal credit. I want it to be its full, thriving own entity. This is where having you in their back pocket really, and your team and everybody else that you have access to, gives them a true unfair advantage.
Correct.
Because it's not about what you don't know. It's knowing people that know what you don't know.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And it's the relationships that we're building. And I know, we're always looking on that next level relationship, because to be honest, I'm going to say my credit tanked completely because of my business, because I didn't know these were factors at play. Had I known this at any point in my business, things, this is a turning point, right? It doesn't mean I can't jump in now. It doesn't mean you have to wait for anything. Your best deal is to call up Angelic. Oh my God, why do I keep sounding of your name?
Angelique.
I'm just like, I'm tripping up on my own words.
Listen, happens.
You have the ability to follow and connect with Angelique online. We're going to be providing that information down in our podcast in the description, and also everywhere else we throw out this information. If we do, I might just keep this in our secret vault. Yeah.
Watch her. Watch her. She's tricky.
I love the double. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, there could be a secret vault. That arbitrary nobody knows about, but it's there kind of a vault. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The bookshelf that's a door. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So, but this gives us the opportunity for them to connect with you, talk with you, right? Because you want the resource, you want to know what you don't know. And I highly recommend working with her. Like, this is going to be your opportunity at any point in your business to understand really what you're doing with your business. I think so many times as women entrepreneurs, we start a business, we start building a business, but we don't know how to take it to the next level. Yep. Every door that we try to open is locked to us. And this is one of the conversations of why it's locked to us, because we don't know what we don't know. And so we're cracking that door open.
Yeah. And it's interesting because people fear success as much as they fear failure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You don't realize that.
Responsibility that comes with it.
Yes. everyone understands what if I do this and I try and I put myself out there and it fails and everyone's gonna know I fail and everyone knows that feeling. But then it's, what if it works? What would you do? What would you do if you made $1 million this year? What would happen to you? And then there's a different type of fear of like, well, I don't know. Well, let's think about it, damn it. Like, are you doing this to like to just give yourself unnecessary stress and anxiety and lead to potential substance and drug abuse and have a very high therapy bill like I did?
Yeah.
Or like,
Stop that.
you know,
Stop that
like
shit right now.
like that's not what I was trying to do. That's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
But you know, and so many other entrepreneurs as well, are you trying to be a mogul? Are you trying to have an empire? Are you trying to leave a legacy? Are you trying to leave generational? What is the thing? And
Yeah.
so what I will leave with, I will leave with some fun stuff because I did a lot of pissing off. So I'm gonna give people
I like
Awesome.
well, we like pissing off.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the fun
I'm
stuff?
gonna leave some hope, but you know, we have our guarantees in place. But in terms of like what you can do, what can happen to you, all of our clients get at least 50,000 in available funding. The average is 2 to 400,000. We've had people go into the millions. It's just when you go into that first meeting with the credit analyst, they'll ask you your goal. You got to tell them, take the lid off so they can go figure it out for you. But also for people that have put their own money into their businesses or have existing debt, even if you don't want to use any extra credit, take on more things, one of the number one benefits of building your credit is that you can refinance that existing debt off of you and onto your business. So if you want to go buy a house, or your kids are going to college, or you want to get a new car, you can do that now because your credit's not encumbered anymore. Or hey, I put 50,000 into my business. I really kind of want that back. Like I always thought I'd pay myself back, but you never do because you love your baby and you wouldn't steal from it. Well, with strong credit, you can invoice your own company and get paid from that. Like there's so many, especially as women, there's women and minorities, LGBTQ, I don't really care. Anyone that's not in the ruling class of life, there's this scarcity mindset. And there's this, you know, but what if this happens and what if that happens? And it's like, no, like someone told me, I went to a Black queer woman wellness retreat in December. It was really awesome. But we're talking about like being the strong friend or being the smart friend and kind of the stress that comes with this and feel failure and trying to put yourself out there, things like that. And someone said, you know, I always think to myself, I just need to be a Chad. Chad has so much confidence and Chad is so underqualified, but Chad, things happen for Chad and nothing happens for me, you know? And so it's like, so sometimes when I get scared of something, I'm just like, be Chad, just be a Chad. It's okay. Like channel your inner Chad and have like brazen arrogance about your abilities and what you can pull off. And it just might actually happen for you. So, you know, that's what I would say. But you know, business is hard, and if you can't be fearless, do it scared.
Yeah. And I think you tied in, I'm just going to quickly just put this in here too. That's why we created Unlocking My Millions as our course, and we put it inside the Truth Bomb Academy. Because we recognize that for women, we actually need to be supporting each other. So we are building the largest female community and organization, a sisterhood, truly, from all cultures, all crosses, everywhere in the world. Because the thing is, like I said earlier, each woman holds a key that is a piece of information we didn't know that we had access to. And from just understanding ourselves, our sexuality, our bodies, our emotions, how we cycle through 28 days, how our brilliance is really ours to own, that we are pleasure creatures, that we love life, that we are meant to be more than just the drone and the robot going through our day. And when women can tap back into who they know themselves to be and tap into that inner goddess and that inner woman that's waiting for you to acknowledge her, that child that everyone calls, you know, the inner child, wake her up. Get her kicking and screaming again. And to do that, you have to be surrounded by women that actually live that as part of their day-to-day life. And that's what Truth Bomb Academy provides. And that's what Unlocking My Millions is about. It's about business, but it's about rest. It's about play. It's about getting to know yourself as a woman, because there's nobody talking female business owners. They're just talking business. And of a construct that wasn't made to include women, you've got to reimagine and redesign the business world for us so that we feel like we are included and that we can partner side by side what already exists out there. So That's what we're pushing for. But this is why we're reaching out to women like you, because you are our tribe. You fit in to the discussions we want all the women in our community to be having. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I love having the
appreciate it.
conversations that seem elusive.
Yeah.
It's like we've had like this, even like this business. I mean, you dropped some bombs today, and I was just like, I have never heard that before. Like literally just some actually practical things that people can be putting into their business right now.
Yeah.
And it was like we had another conversation with a lady about grants. And it was just like another elusive conversation. And it's just like, so I love, that's what Unlocking My Millions is bringing to the women in business.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so much knowledge out there, and knowledge is power. I think the first few emails I ended was like, knowledge is power. Like it is. Like that's
so wrapping up, because I know we could keep going on forever. So I'm not going to off the wrap you up, but you do have a freebie that we are going to be providing. So can you tell us a little bit about the freebie that you're going to be sharing with our audience?
Yes. So anyone that wants their own free business credit reports, please feel free. All I need is your business name and really the state, but if you have the registered address, that'd be great. We can find out if you have some existing credit or not. Some people are very surprised to find that there is, and some people are damn pissed and appalled that there's not. And then we can do a free call and kind of go over kind of what that is. We do also, because we scheduled it right now, this call, we do have a free mini course as well. Which talks a little bit more in depth about the things that I've discussed. So we can have our conversation, but this mini course is put together by our one of our EVPs, and it really just talks about all the different pieces of business credit. So beyond you talking to me, getting some more resources, but he can walk you through some more practical steps as well. And he's very, very sharp. But it doesn't, and people, I will say this because people always ask me, no, it does not affect your personal credit score because I don't even ask for your social security number.
Yeah.
All I need is your business name and the state it's registered in, because that is how easily accessible this information is, guys. You just have no
I'm
idea.
excited to hear this. I'm so excited to hear this. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Angelique. I mean, really mind-blowing conversation.
Yeah.
And for those that are listening in, if you're listening onto our podcast, definitely subscribe, tune in. If you're listening to us on our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. And whatever you do, without fail, don't wait, don't stop. Hit that follow Angelique button. Find her, stalk her, get on her list. She is someone you absolutely want to connect with in the business world. So thank you again so much for your time today. We appreciate you. And with that, this is a wrap up of Did She Really Say That? Because I promise you, Angelique, she really did.
Ciao.